The Newsday continues here on One News Now Business. I'm Diego Castro. Here are the biggest stories on the economic and corporate fronts. The Bangko Sentral left policy rates unchanged as inflation eased in October. In its policy meeting on Thursday, the Monetary Board kept its benchmark interest rate steady at 6.5% as expected by analysts in a Business World poll last week. Interest rates on the overnight deposit and lending facilities were also maintained at 6% and 7% respectively. This was the first Monetary Board meeting after a 25 basis point off-cycle rate hike on October 26, which brought the policy rate to the highest since mid-2007. BSP Deputy Governor Francisco Daquila Jr. said keeping rates steady would allow previous tightening to continue to work their way through the economy. The Philippines has signed just moments ago the 123 agreement on nuclear energy cooperation with the U.S. President Bongbong Marcos is currently set to hold a meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping, where he will seek to clarify the Philippines' position in the West Philippine Sea. Maricel Halili with the report.
After personally meeting with U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris, President Bongbong Marcos will be sitting down with Chinese President Xi Jinping on the sidelines of the 30th APEC summit in San Francisco. Marcos Jr. says the Philippines aims to secure peace in the disputed waters following the China's harassment of Philippine vessels during the last resupply missions in the Ayungin Shoal.
And now that's what I see the mission of the Philippines, the Philippine Coast Guard, the Philippine military, our fishermen, all of us. Is our basic fundamental mission here is to maintain the peace.
President Marcos says he will discuss with Xi the matter of easing tensions in the disputed waters. Marcos Jr. also seeks to clarify the Philippines' position in the West Philippine Sea.
Again, we will get the view of the Chinese president on what we can do to bring down the temperature, to not escalate the situation in the West Philippine Sea. And we will put all of these together so as we'll be able to strategize for the near future on what the Philippines' role will be, or what is the proper Philippines role in the West Philippine Sea.
Xi earlier met with U.S. President Joe Biden, where the two leaders agreed to resume high-level military communications. However, when asked by reporters at the end of the news conference, Biden said he had not changed his view in Xi's leadership.
And Mr. President, after today, would you still refer to President Xi as a dictator? This is a term that you used earlier this year.
Well, look, he is. I mean, he's a dictator in the sense that he is a guy who runs a country that is a communist country that's based on a form of government totally different than ours.
Prior to Marcos Jr.'s scheduled meeting with Xi, he sat with U.S. Vice President Harris in a pull-aside meeting, where they also focused on the West Philippine Sea.
He was very interested to know what our assessment was on the situation in the West Philippine Sea. And I just went through the narrative of what had happened in the past few months. And we tried to discuss some of the ways forward.
Marcos Jr. has witnessed the signing of the 123 agreement between the Philippines and the U.S. earlier today. The deal will serve as a legal basis for the U.S. to export nuclear equipment and materials to Manila to help attract investors in the energy sector. For News 5, Maricel Halili, We Are One News.
The Philippines and the U.S. have signed 5 key agreements during the sidelines of the APEC CEO Summit on Thursday. President Bongbong Marcos was present during the signing of the 5 key agreements between the two countries' private and public sectors. These are the establishment of a high-resolution weather forecasting system utilizing artificial intelligence technology, the inauguration of the first specialty oncology hospital, and a contribution of up to $20 million from Lloyd Laboratories for the establishment of the first U.S. Food and Drug Administration-approved manufacturing facility in the Philippines. The list also includes the agreement between Meralco and Ultrasafe Nuclear Cooperation to conduct studies on sustainable energy and the deployment of internet satellites dedicated solely to the Philippines. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. The TAPS, the state-run banks Land Bank and DBP TP manage a total of 2 billion pesos for the generation of additional earnings for the agency over the next 3 years. Under the agreement, the Land Bank and DBP will each be managing 1 billion pesos worth of investable funds for pure fixed income. This means Land Bank and DBP will have to grow their respective 1 billion pesos over the next 3 years. SSS says the banks may place the funds in investment instruments for as long as they fall within the risk parameters set by the Provident Fund. We recently reported that the Civil Aeronautics Board is planning to impose higher fines on airlines that overbook flights. Now, here to give us their thoughts on that, as well as the growth projections for the end of the year, we have with us over the line Steve Dailisan, spokesperson of AirAsia Philippines. Steve, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Dick.
Yes, Steve, of course, I'd
Sure.
like to get your reaction first about this plan. It's a very huge jump from 5,000 pesos per violation now up to a minimum of 200,000 pesos up to 2 million depending on the violation. Now, what's your reaction?
But for us in AirAsia, we're very strict in terms of observing the implementation of overbooking. In fact, Diego, during peak season, we do not overbook. We are very strict on that. We are very conscious in terms of overbooking. The limit that has been set by the Civil Aeronautics Board is only up to 10%. But whenever we do, since it's also approved by the regulator, we only overbook at least 5 to 10 seats.
Okay.
Do not exceed the number of overbooking. In the last long weekend or last long holiday, during All Souls Day and All Saints Day, we haven't implemented any overbooking. This just be observing for the Christmas break. And if there are changes in terms of the fines and penalties, of course, we'll be very compliant with the regulators.
Yes, you were speaking of overbooking, Steve, no? And it was also revealed in the plenary debates that about this overbooking that's been plaguing some of the other carriers. Now, how does how does AirAsia handle these concerns?
Now it's around 90. If that was 833.
Yes, Steve, sorry, Steve, you're breaking up. Could you repeat that?
Yeah, actually, looking at the factors, John, we also look for if there are a huge number of no-shows per destination, then that's the only time we overbook within the allowable limit of the Civil Aeronautics Board. Otherwise, if the route is always full, say for example, Caticlan, which has a high load factor of around 95% to 98%, then we do not overbook.
Okay.
I just want to stress that overbooking is allowed by the regulator, but insofar as AirAsia is concerned, we do not exceed that limit per booking. So we welcome any changes in terms of fines and penalties. But we would like to reassure our guests that when we fly with AirAsia, confident so that we do observe the strict direction by the regulator.
All right. Now let's move over to a different subject altogether. Let's talk about your growth expectations. Last month, I think you projected a 230% surge in bookings, and now that the holiday season is very fast approaching, how is it looking like for AirAsia Philippines in terms of passenger count?
Last month, actually for October, we've already achieved our 92% target year to date. We still have 2 months before 2023 ends, and we hope that this will bring a lot of passengers traveling to different destinations. In fact, what we're looking at, Diego, is that most destinations or Filipinos will travel not only to go home to their families, but to visit and travel to tourist destinations such as Catlan in Boracay, Cubao in Bohol, for Princesa International. There's really a high load factor for Tokyo for destinations which
Okay.
are about to start for the winter season.
Yeah, given what you said, what do you think your projections will be for the full year of 2023?
Well, for the third quarter, our results are about 368% already of versus 2022. So that's really a huge jump in terms of our projections. But we're looking at least achieving our target for this year in terms of load factor. We're looking at 90 to 95% towards the year end.
Okay, aside from the holiday spending that we mentioned that's driving all of this growth, to what else do you think you can attribute this?
Well, we've heard from the Civil Aeronautics Board, though we are still awaiting for the final copy of the resolution. And there's going to be, from level 7, it's going to be level 6 in terms of fuel surcharge cost.
Okay.
We hope it's going to be a driving factor also in terms of the booking behavior. But insofar as the seat sales are concerned, we've just implemented our 11-11.
Yes.
So we will continue to implement double-digit sales to encourage or to stimulate market demand.
Okay, so you said you will continue, so this will extend up to next year and different months of the year also.
Yes, because we are known for democratizing air travel, not only in the Philippines but across ASEAN. We operate in 7 airline operation centers such as Kuala Lumpur, Thailand, we have Indonesia, and we're opening Cambodia. So in terms of low-cost fares, what our guests can expect is that we will stay committed to our promise of affordable fares, not only actually for flights, Diego, but since we have our super app now, they can also book for hotels, they can also book for rides, for example, in Malaysia and other travel needs. So that we make sure that the entire ecosystem remains affordable for everyone.
That's great, that's great. And any risks you're watching out for, Steve?
Well, fuel is one, and our MROs, or maintenance repair organizations, and spare parts. But insofar as our engines are concerned, we're not utilizing Pratt & Whitney. Our engines are CFM56, so we don't have an issue with our engines. So far, hopefully, things will turn out well, especially in the coming days. We're expecting really the peak of air travel.
Thank you very much for your insights. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have. Thank you for joining us. Steve Dailisan, spokesperson of AirAsia Philippines.
Thanks for having me, and flying with you soon, Diego. Thank you.
Good morning. And those are the top business stories of the hour. I'm Diego Castro. Join us again at 2 p.m. We are One News. All sides, all the time.